We could do that. That's-
Lisa, can you hear me? It's Rita.
It's just the engineering. That's not a bad path. You know, the whole point.
Yes, I hear you, Rita.
Okay, great.
So, you don't know.
I sent the link. I'm not sure if you saw it. I just saw your email.
Yeah, she's on. She got it.
All right, great.
Okay. All right, looks like everybody's here.
I don't think you want to. I don't. See through.
Got final exams to grade. Notice that's.
How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going down to New York City for Christmas?
I am.
Cause I know.
Wait, it's not.
I got spies all
I know
over.
that.
I got spies all over.
You should not know that.
So I go see the trees. All that.
We'll see.
You gonna go skating at Rockefeller Center?
We shall see.
She's not giving away anymore.
Later,
now.
so.
You're not giving away anymore. He knows too much already.
Stop it. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Laws and Rules Committee meeting. Today is the 20th. It is 6:33, 34. We're going to open up our meeting tonight. Many people here tonight. Many members are here. I'm not gonna call everybody's name, but once we go down the agenda, we'll introduce. Okay, does everyone have an agenda?
Yeah.
And I see, Carl is there, he's still trying to connect to audio. Hopefully he'll get there. But we're okay, we have enough here, present. Okay, everybody got your agenda?
Yes.
Yes, all right, let's get started. All right, under new business, easement request at 365 South Wall Street. And who's gonna talk to us about that?
I'm
You want to?
here, but Elisa is also, Lisa Nowak, who's Lucky Green Lady. Elisa, do you want to unmute yourself?
Is it Alyssa or Alyssa?
Alyssa,
Alyssa?
can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi. Hi everyone. My name's Alyssa Nowak and I'm the owner of the Lucky Green Ladies. I also own a delivery business in Massachusetts and we are on a delivery, so I have you on my Bluetooth. But you know, I'm happy to walk through anything that's needed and answer any questions that you may have.
So just a little bit of background. This property is at 365 South Wall Street. It's at the intersection of the Boulevard and South Wall at the where all the roads come together, South Wall, Fair Street, Greenkill, okay? This was previously used as a gas station. It was a car repair place. It was an automobile sales place. It has been a flea market. And so now, under the new form-based code, Alyssa and her mother have made an application for and they're under minor site plan review with our office. We've gone through an extensive amount of back and forth on lighting, signage, landscaping, parking, channelization. If you're familiar with the site, it basically is all pavement or building. There's absolutely no green space. So we've worked with her and her architect to put a significant amount, take out a lot of the pavement and introduce a lot of green area at the corner area and towards the back ends of the property. So that will take care of some of the stormwater runoff from the property, as well as beautify the intersection. Because right now it's not a very attractive site. She's going to be doing a lot of renovations to the exterior of the building, making improvements there. She will be putting one sign back on the building. The freestanding sign will not take place. Did you apply, Elisa? Did you decide to go for that variance or not? I didn't.
No, I was gonna hold off on the variance until a later time, but I was moving forward with on the building sign.
Okay, so another thing that she's doing is she's cutting some of the curb cuts, and she's putting back curbing in so that there is better channelization through the site. If you're familiar with the site, when she did the survey, we recognized that a good portion of the site is actually part of South Wall Street. In fact, a significant piece of the property. Historically, if you look at it, every property, every owner and user in the past has used that area for parking. She wants to continue to use a portion of it for parking, but she also wants to improve it with some landscaping. Recognizing that it's part of the city right of way, we couldn't obviously authorize that work without getting either an easement or a license agreement to allow her to occupy that space. So that's what she is here for this evening. And she will indemnify basically the city of Kingston as well. We talked about that.
Does you have a preference on license versus?
Well, we put out an easement at first, and then I understand that, maybe Barbara, you can speak to that. Maybe John Schulteis was a little bit uncomfortable with an easement, across a public right of way, because that's a more permanent type of document. If and when the city of Kingston ever decides to widen South Wall Street or put in a sidewalk along that portion of the roadway, we would want the ability to go back on our property and do that improvement. Also recognizing though, if the street does get widened, half of the front yards of the pieces of property along the street get taken away.
Right.
So, I mean, it is a very odd situation. You would never suspect that the right of way is that wide in that location.
So do we know how the zoning code is going to affect this?
It doesn't. I mean, this is one of the reasons she's going through this process is because of the new zoning code. And that's what, lot coverage is one of the issues in the code. So she is basically taking out a lot of the pervious material and making it an impervious, greenscape. So that will help her. She's making the lot more conforming to our code now.
You guys have any questions?
No.
My question is, what are we gonna do? I mean, there's two options here. And is it easier to get a license or is it easier to do an easement?
I'm not even heard of the
Okay.
possibility of a license, so maybe that's something that we want some sort of guidance on about.
Okay, I mean, I don't know that she has a preference for one or the other. She obviously wants to make improvements in the public right of way. She wants to use, like I said, the right of way goes probably to 2 feet from the building. So it's kind of right outside her front door. And she does obviously want to put some bike racks in that area and also use it for a couple of parking spaces, so.
But just in my experience, use an occupancy permit on is significantly easier than an easement or a transfer of real property rights. So it might take less time.
Right.
That's all I'm suggesting.
I mean, do you have a preference for, you don't have a preference right now for one? I mean, could we authorize one or the other based on a discussion with corp council or, and then before maybe the council meets?
At a later date, we're talking about, yes, because based on, just reading over information that I saw about this, might be wise for us to get a little bit more information, connect with corp council and maybe with John Schulteis at the same time and go from there. Because I know, there's some reservations about this, as far as granting the easement at this time.
Okay,
And I think I read something too, maybe a temporary license.
yeah,
Yeah, Rita, can I just piggyback on what you just said? Because I just heard today, although it was sent earlier this week, but I was sick. So there has been reservations that have been brought to my attention on this. So I would not feel comfortable moving forward with anything until some of those are addressed and discussed internally with some of the staff members who brought this to my attention. So I wasn't sure. It sounds like somebody brought it to your attention too. So just want to make sure other folks know that there are some questions on this, and I don't think it would be wise for us to move forward.
Right, so I would suggest that maybe we table it until we get a little bit more information and for the next Laws and Rules Committee.
Okay.
Meeting.
Is time of the essence for Lucky Green Ladies?
Well, she's under a review, and obviously the decision would impact her final plan. So, yeah, I mean, there is, Alyssa, you're muted.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Timing wise, what is your time frame to try and start work on the renovations of the building?
I was hoping to get the construction set of plans sometime this week, if not early next week, for submission to the building department.
Okay.
I know there was some discussion of having, that there were going to be 2 laws and rules meetings in January. Is that still the plan?
I don't know.
Barbara, you and I were the only ones to discuss it. That is still the plan, as long as I could get the committee, but I didn't move forward with this committee because 3 members will be gone in January to get that date.
Okay.
But are we also talking about having a public safety meeting on the 8th of January? Or something like that?
Yes, a very quick one
Yes.
before the council meeting.
Yeah, a 30-minute meeting. I mean, we could do that. I mean, I think the most important thing is to make sure that we have the questions answered on this and we move forward and, not rush through anything.
That would be 3 weeks.
I mean, an easement is pretty permanent, so I think it just, I would be more comfortable making sure that this body moves towards something after knowing that there aren't as many questions out there. I would be more comfortable with a license than an easement.
I would encourage a use and occupancy permit or license of some sort. That's
Right,
removal.
so the license would be issued for a period, is that my understanding? The
You can issue it
license is
for-
issued for a period of a time and then renewed
It's
on
been-
a,
My experience with them is you can have a revocable, use
Okay.
and occupancy permit that's just issued. And if someday we decide to widen Wall Street, South Wall Street, then it becomes a problem.
right.
But the probability of us widening South Wall Street is not.
Andrea, other than John Schulteis, did you hear from, he's the only one that expressed any reservation about an easement, and it was based on the permanency.
I did hear one other,
I
so,
haven't heard anybody else, so that's why I'm asking.
Just my 2 cents, you don't want to give somebody an easement that you have to buy back later because it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
So I would suggest that we hold off. What say you, committee members?
Sounds like.
Based on what I've just heard, yes, I would say,
Yes.
I would agree.
Okay.
But I also, right, but I would also think we want to move this forward as quickly as possible.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping that some of the laws and rules will,
you know what I could do, Rita, since the committees haven't been decided, and the emails came to me with the questions, so I will take charge of this.
thank you.
And let the new laws and rules members keep them up to date when they join.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Sue, did you want to say anything else?
That's it.
That's it? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And I guess I will be in touch with Sue on the next steps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Right, Sue.
all right. Agenda item number 2, procurement policy, and Louise gonna come talk to us about that, no? John?
Yeah, I can speak to. So there's multiple components of changes to the policy. I'm here to speak to the insurance changes. Our existing procurement policy, the insurance requirements are categorized into two separate categories. One is capital projects. The other category is basically everything else. The current insurance requirements are they're rather rigid, and there's no delineation between capital projects of various sizes. So we have like standard insurance requirements that in some cases, quite frankly, may not be enough on a real large scale capital project, or could be overkill on a smaller capital project. So I did some research, speaking with Barbara, I found the guidelines that the New York State agencies use. I found a document called the Council of Contracting Agencies, the New York State Procurement Council. It's a entity that was established under New York State finance law, and their goal and mission is to improve procurement standards for all New York State agencies. So they had a great document that had very robust insurance language, and we were able to extract some of that language, tailor it to our needs, and we've now modified the insurance language in our policy into 4 categories. One is the insurance requirements that we require in all contracts, very basic, like disability insurance, workers' comp, things of that nature. And then we have insurance requirements for professional and personal services. We have separate requirements for capital projects, and then a third category for building services. And then within each of those categories, you'll see in the policy there's a matrix. So depending on the scope of the work, the dollar value, or the nature of the work, there are various insurance requirements. So I think the document that you have in front of you is a great improvement over what we currently have. I think it better protects the city. It helps ensure that we're tailoring the insurance requirements to the risk of the job at hand. We're not overburdening contractors. And at the same time, we're getting the insurance requirements that we need. So I'm here to answer any questions.
So the version that's in the agenda, is that revised or is that the old?
This is a new one. Yeah, so you have the document that I see what Sarah has with the.
I just printed out the
The
matrix.
matrix, yeah, so that's all new. We never had matrix. We never had, our policy before didn't differentiate between the size of a capital project, the type of capital project. I mean, these are all, when you look at the matrix, you'll see there's no delineation between different scopes. You can see here, Sarah, between like the,
Right.
over 25 million and over 5 million.
Over 50 million
And then, right, and that will, the type of insurance that's required, the amount of insurance that's required varies based upon the project, the size of the project, in terms of dollar value, and also the type of project.
Do you get any pushback on indemnification from the professional services side?
Well, one of the things that we do find, and this policy also gives the flexibility to adjust the requirements, is that in some cases, I feel like the professional liability insurance that we do require, in some cases, is probably overkill for the type of work, right? So we're required, I believe the prior policy is $1 million of liability insurance. I don't have it in front of me for any type of work. And we have some small projects, small contracts, could be $1,000, $2,000 contract that has minimal risk to the city in terms of liability. But our policy is very rigid. You have to have this. If you don't, technically, can't do the work.
I think it's pretty standard what you have, because I've done some work in other municipalities, and the $1 million general liability is what I've seen in my experience in other cities too.
So our existing insurance requirements was modeled off of Ulster County at one point, and now we've taken it, we've blended it with what New York State has in place. So I think it's a good hybrid policy.
No, I looked at it and I liked it. I thought that it makes allowances for
Yes.
different kinds of work, some of which is gonna be more, more risky, and other kinds of work is gonna be less risky, and so, yeah, I like seeing that, I thought it looked good.
That's a way to protect the city.
Mhm.
Good policy, I think, Joe.
Yeah.
But just to, on the side.
Yeah.
In section 11, sole source procurement, section B, number 3, number 4 are redundant, and number 3 has got, number 4 has got a spelling error. Take a look at that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
11, sole source procurement policy. Section 11,
Sole source.
B, not A,
Okay,
number 3.
all right, that's not anything
It's
that
no
was
big-
modified, that was
no big
something that was modified
Right,
for
no
this,
big
so that's,
But it was just,
Probably been there.
you just last year too.
yeah,
So just.
okay.
Because we would be able to adapt this correction.
We can look at that going forward. So you said 11 sole source, and then B, paragraph B?
Paragraph B, 11, sole source.
Okay.
Number 3 and 4.
They're repetitive.
Well, one's
With the
misspelled,
misspelling?
yeah, they're the same thing and one's got spelling error.
Okay.
So I'm sure it was a correction that,
Okay.
was not-
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of what the difference in cost is? So I'm looking at capital construction insurance matrix, for example. And you've got on the left, under construction contract value, less than 2 million, 10 million, 50 million, more than 50 million. And I see there's a jump from $2 million coverage to $5 million, to $10 million coverage. I'm just wondering if there's a huge jump in the cost of the insurance that,
I didn't look at that. It probably would vary depending on, their underlying policy that they have, their insurance carrier.
yeah, I'm partly wondering about whether there's 3 levels.
Sure.
And just wondering if those are, finessed in.
That's the levels that the state uses, so that's what we used as the guideline. That we didn't change from what the state, requires of their agencies.
Well, I'm just wondering, because if one contract is at $9,999,000, and another one's $10 million, $1.
Yeah.
That could be a huge difference, right?
I
Something like.
tend to think it's a huge difference, but don't quote me because I'm just not familiar with what their individual policy costs are.
Okay.
However, just keep in mind, you're looking at a contractor who's doing $9 or $10 million worth of construction work, are going to tend to be financially capable, not have the resources for that type of coverage.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody attending virtually have any questions? No? Okay, so I have before me, committee report. Committee hereby recommends adoption of the 2024 procurement policy manual. I get a motion?
Everybody.
Somebody
Pick whichever.
pick one? Second?
Second.
Hey, Rita, I just wanted to let you know that Carl is able to vote virtually because he meets the requirements. I wasn't sure if I made that clear when I told you he wouldn't be there.
Okay.
But he
Thank
can be a voting member. You just have to get his permission to sign.
Permission to sign.
Permission to sign granted.
Thank you.
And do we want to note that we want to make this the edit that
Oh, the amendments?
Yes.
Well, I don't think it doesn't change, it doesn't really.
It doesn't change any of the
Change that, but don't edit it before we pass it on, whatever.
right?
Yeah, well, if your committee report just indicates and that it's as amended per your recommendation,
For the recommendation.
then I'll make those changes, and I'll recirculate the document.
I can't believe it.
That's rare for the engineer to find one. Very hard.
And you're looking.
Even though we can't spell. It's well done, I think it's a good document.
Thank you.
Yeah. Goes into a lot of specifics, and a lot of pages. I read through it, and not with the same attention you did, but I did read through the document. It's very good.
Thank you. I mean, I did look at, as part of this, look at some samples from other municipalities, and I felt like we had a comparatively The ones I looked at, I felt like our policy is pretty robust.
No, and I like the matrices also, because it sort of lays it out in a really succinct visual format.
I think what's nice with the matrices is that's really gonna help the department heads who are, laying out the insurance departments, their contracts, and, just real visually for like engineering or, other project managers, just to, pull up the matrix, because there's different matrix for each type of project that we have.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a building service, contract, you just pull out that matrix,
Right.
and you can see very quickly, what you're gonna need, so.
Okay, so we were in the middle of that. vote. So why don't we finish that vote? Okay. So I had a motion by Sarah, second by Rennie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposers? Okay, so it's carried unanimously. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work on this.
I have to thank my staff as well.
Thank them too.
Yeah, they did a lot of work, so.
And thanks to Corp Council for reviewing it too. Right, you had some input?
John did the, the line share this work, it was long.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Have a good night,
And
everyone.
your staff, and work.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You too, hey, well, you lose committee,
All right, great. Emily, you want to come on out? So we have the Kingston pedestrian and bicycle master plan, and Emily's going to talk to us about that.
Last month, I presented to you all about it. This month, I have submitted for your consideration updated language. I changed it to include seeker language, that's the, let me get it right, State Environmental Quality Review Act language. Our funder requires that the municipality consider if it's needed. I got advice from Sue Cahill, and John Schultes, who do seeker a lot more often than I, it's the first time. And the reason that it is a type 2 decision is because the bike ped master plan is not requiring the governing body, you all, to do anything. It's just a recommendation. And all of the recommendations in the plan would require additional seeker review. So that's why I added it there, and then by including it in that legislation, it qualifies by requirement.
Okay.
And then of course I can answer any other questions about.
There was somebody who sent in a bunch of comments. I was looking for them, but I couldn't find them.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't, but I think I can try to answer it, because every comment that I received, I put into an Excel spreadsheet that should be on the Engage Kingston website in the appendix. If I join the Zoom, I'm not going to share my screen. So if you want me to try to put it up on the screen, I can, or I can try to talk about it more. What would you like?
Well, I was trying to remember, there was somebody who wrote a number of comments. And unfortunately, I cannot find
Were they in
the
the,
email.
were they in a separate email, not with the agenda packet that came out?
There was somebody, I think, who sent them to us. And I searched under different words and couldn't find it. I mean, it's always possible to read it, but,
I'm sorry, Emily, did you say you saw those comments too, or you didn't?
No, I did not see those specific comments, but what I was trying to maybe bring up is that I'm not connected to the Zoom, so I'm not going to be able to do it quickly. But for all of your information, if you go to the EngageKingston.com webpage where all of our projects are, there is a page for the pedestrian and bicycle master plan. On that page, on the right-hand side, is the plan broken up by chapters. The very last chapter is the appendix. I did not print that out for you because it's all basically about the same number of pages as the actual plan.
Well,
But in that appendix is all of the backup information about how the consultant did all of their assessment, all of the formulas for all their plans. And then I believe, we go down. When we proposed the first draft, I put it out for comments, so all the survey results are here from our online and in-person surveys, they're all there. And then here it is. So when people submitted their requests of their changes of the plan ready, I've systematically reviewed it and created a response. I created a response to it.
Was this in the last month, though? Because you
No.
presented this to us a month ago. right?
Right, this was when we did the first draft of the plan and I got the reviews from Complete Streets.
Yeah,
and from
this
my
is
town.
somebody within, since you presented it the previous also.
I've heard nothing about that.
What, did those, Brittany, were those comments recommendations, or were they for, against, or what?
There was somebody who was suggesting some changes.
I see
Oh,
one
was that
being-
an email from a constituent, Rennie?
Yes.
Oh, I remember us getting that. I'll try and look for it.
It would have been in the last month, too. so. Part of the problem is, if somebody else, responds to something, it
The
varies.
thread, I know.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
I'm scrolling through, I don't know how far, I would have to go back, but I don't see.
It would be in the last month.
Oh, here's, let me see.
I found it. It's from December 5th.
Yeah, I found it too. From a
What's it
Mr.
on?
Bellinger.
Or actually December 4th is
Okay.
when this person sent it. So I don't know. You could
December
all-
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
December
there's the
4th,
problem.
you
It's
found it?
under Alyssa's name.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
So,
Emily, you want me to email this to you?
That'd be great. I haven't seen it.
I mean, one thing is considering adding some truly hardened bike lanes, but that's, that's down the way. Enforce the traffic laws, but there's some other suggestions, re-examine some signal timing. So I think there's some ideas there certainly worthy of consideration, but nothing that I would say would stand in the way of us following through tonight.
Because it can be amended, or can recommendations, if we adopt this tonight,
That's gonna be.
can we amend it later and or add, or?
Well, I guess I would say my counter argument is that this plan is a set of general recommendations. It doesn't go to the granular level about the timing of the traffic lights, for example.
Right?
It's really a direction for the city to go towards, and it's a set of potential projects. And if it talks about enforcement, it talks about, I don't know all of the things that they're suggesting, but there's extensive talk about bike lanes and cycle tracks and when they could be used, but it doesn't say this road should have it or that road should have it. But it's a toolkit for here's all the options that you could use on the streetscape. It's really for the consultants or the city's engineer to consider when they redesign each street. So, this project, we're done with the consultants, the contract is finished. Other than a small spelling mistake, at this time, this planning document's pretty done.
It's not an implementation plan.
It's not, it's a
One
vision.
guideline.
It's guidelines, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what this person's getting at, is what some of the guidelines, how they might be altered.
And are these comments something that could be put into the appendix where you have the comments? Okay, so I would suggest that be something that is done. Yeah,
In addition, I want to say that this is a snapshot in time.
Mhm.
Already, things about it are outdated, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But I am collecting feedback
Okay,
So as part of the liaison with the Complete Streets Advisory Council, and just as part of my work, when people give us suggestions, they get filed. And so at some
Okay.
point, I envision that this plan will be updated, and I'm already collecting all of that new feedback from the community that will eventually be incorporated into it again.
okay, so this could be incorporated into that so we don't lose, excellent.
I will very happily take that email and add it to the
Okay.
this document.
I'm sending it to you, right?
Right.
Okay.
I already sent it.
So you're gonna get 2 copies.
That's great. More copies are better than.
Right. So I guess I have a question. Is this in alignment with the comprehensive plan, the
Yes.
zoning plan that was just passed? Okay.
So the comprehensive plan calls for further study of which this is.
Of which is, so this is a part of it, but recommendations as opposed to law.
Exactly, yeah, I believe the comprehensive plan is law for you all, right?
Yes,
And in the plan, it does reference the comprehensive plans and other documents that it pulled upon for these guidelines.
Mhm.
And then the zoning happened at the same time, and there is a mention of them. There's this, because they're slightly different animals, they don't conflict in any way. They actually, I think, echo similar goals. But they don't conflict in any way.
okay.
And they spoke, they interacted.
They,
It was not, they were not independent of each other.
The consoles talk to each other, Bartek and I talk to each other. But they are different animals, so they don't talk directly to each other.
right.
So,
Okay.
but how, this is not, however, a ADA
Transition plan,
transition plan,
it is not.
which is something that we need to talk about as a next step.
Want to say what that is?
For the general public and for us.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong? My understanding of that municipalities have been charged to create an ADA transition plan. That's an Americans with Disabilities Act plan. That is how the city will improve accessibility over their, let me see if I get it right, Bob, over their properties.
Right.
And right away, is that accurate? So parts of the data that's collected for this plan would be used in an ADA transition plan. So
Mhm.
all of the sidewalk assessment, all of the crosswalk assessment, all of that data would go toward an ADA transition plan. What
Okay,
this plan doesn't include, that would be in an ADA, is the assessment of all city properties. So we did not go to every park, every building, and make sure that there was accessible, all of like what is not accessible, what is accessible. That has not been assessed.
and that's what you're speaking about as the next step.
Well,
Follow.
that would be, that would be a follow-on to this
Mhm.
work. And ultimately, there would be a master document that's an ADA transition plan about how we are going to get the city in conformity with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Okay.
The good part about this one is that it does the major outdoor infrastructure. And not having that done can be a stumbling block when you're looking for federal funding from the transportation department and from others.
I
It's
see.
one of the questions they ask.
I
Have you
see.
got, have you got a plan? And we could say, kind of,
We can say we've taken significant steps towards it. And
Right,
that
and
is
that's good.
a lot better, honestly, than many other
oh,
municipalities.
yeah, saying no is a terrible thing to do. We could say, no, there are sidewalks, we have a plan for our sidewalks, we're thinking about them, we know what they are,
Yes.
that's what they're concerned about.
Of course.
That means it's somebody else's problem for their, and they don't,
So that would be separate from this, but incorporated into the master plan.
It's sort of like, all of our planning documents sometimes zoom in on a certain project or thing that we're working on, but they inform other ones. So the ADA transition plan would take some of the data here, but not talk about enforcement, for example. That would have nothing to do with the ADA transition plan. But then it might take data from the tree inventory and how that affects things. So it would, my understanding is those kinds of plans is you try to take the data that's needed for that new lens that you look at.
the sidewalk work done in this plan is huge. That's a huge thing.
Yeah,
It's not-
it is a huge thing.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh, just one question. If that kind of an ADA plan is developed, what department would that come out of? I mean, how would that be initiated if that one were to be
It's a
initiated?
good question,
I think that's a question for the mayor.
right?
As the administrator, he would decide what.
But when you do it separate the side, that's a hard, I don't know, that's a hard.
And honestly, it'd probably be multi-department,
Right, because you're in different silos, you're in different places.
Okay,
DPW, parks, human rights, or something, just.
oh, right, okay,
All right, great.
okay.
Great, thank you, Emily. So we have before us a resolution to adopt the Kingston pedestrian and bicycle master plan. I'll second. Questions?
Not to be a pain, but I don't believe, Bob, you're on laws and rules, are you?
I can't move it, I'm not moving it, I can't do it, you're right, I'm not on this committee.
I motioned, it looked like Bob, but it was me that motioned.
You talk like you're on this committee.
I know, I gotta shut up, I'll sit here and be
We're
quiet.
wearing the same color sweaters.
Right.
But I'll still second that motion, even though.
Okay, I got you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposers? All right.
Opposers, but no opposers.
So I'm guessing that item number 2 under old business is the one we just finished.
Yeah. Carl, did I see you say yes?
Yes,
The authority to forge your name?
I'm a yes. Did you not hear me?
Wait, if he gives me permission, then it's not forgery then, right?
No, that's correct, you can do it, it's like the power of attorney, right?
That's proxy, so.
Proxy, okay.
It doesn't even have to look like a signature.
You have to write his name wherever you want in there. I'm not sorry.
All right.
So.
So then we will, strike number 2. We're moving to old business. We're gonna strike number 2 because that's what we
That's
just
what we
did.
just talked about, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And,
Emily.
we'll move back up to number 1. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Move back up to number 1, which is the evening request. This was something that was talked about last month. I wasn't here for that. But I am going to guess and assume that we're going to do the same thing we did with this easement that we did with the item number 1 of 365 South Wall Street. Unless I'm wrong, committee members.
Can I ask who was kind of taking charge of this one? It was not me. So just, I mean, I can, but if somebody, I wasn't at the last month's meeting either in Corp Council. I'm not sure if this is something that, okay. So somebody has to do something between now and the next meeting. I will take a look at this easement too.
Do they have to be 2 separate things when talking to Court Counsel and John Schulteis? Or can
Well,
you
I don't know if he would be involved with this one, but Barbara, I'll reach out and we'll figure out a game plan for this one as well.
Okay,
Right, because nobody else knows anything about this at the table.
Yeah, I remember a discussion about it, and I think this one was less problematic because of the nature of the site, but I can't.
I wasn't here, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
so,
All right, I'll take charge and I'll have something for the new committee.
All right, so we're going to table that one as well. And then the last thing is something that Brittany brought to us, the regulations on the apprenticeship program.
Yes, we have nothing specific at this time.
You have nothing, okay. Okay,
so is this something we can just continue forward? Yes.
all right, then that's what we'll do.
This is we,
Huh?
this is we stuff, huh?
I'll be here in spirit.
Good.
Hovering over us, looking to see what we're up to.
Okay, and with that, that's
Wait,
our
hold on, can I
agenda.
say something before you adjourn?
Certainly.
I really wanted to be there tonight, but I'm not feeling well, so figured you'd all appreciate me staying away from you all. But I just wanted to, since this is now the official last meeting of the Common Council for 2023, and since the 3 people who are leaving us are here, I just wanted to again say thank you to Naima, Rita, and Carl for your service. And I'm sorry I can't be there to give you all hugs, but I'm sending air hugs down the block to you, or a few blocks to Carl. So thank you very much. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
And
Thank
thank
you,
you all.
everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody thanks you.
We're gonna miss you all.
Yeah.
I've actually enjoyed being on Laws and Rules and, not so much as chair, but actually being on the the committee. Yeah, I learned a lot of Laws and Rules. So it's been a pleasure. It has been.
Could be back in some form.
You
You're not
think?
getting away.
You think so?
I think it's in your blood. I don't think you can get away.
In my blood. No. Okay. So that wraps it up for tonight, agenda. So we're going to adjourn. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right. And that'll do it. Thank you, Carl.
Everybody, thank
I will
you.
see you all. Please enjoy your holiday. Have a wonderful Christmas. I plan to. Yeah.
Okay, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. I'll see you all soon.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Good night.
See you around the bush.
Thanks, Elisa.
Here.